How concerned should the Eagles be right now?
I think they should be very concerned. You know, we had this debate a few days ago, Max, and I thought Eagles fans should tap the brakes a little bit on their concerns, but then, you know, football starts to be played. The bottom line is, let's start with just the quarterback position alone. For the Eagles, they have to have concerns about their future, their present, and their past. Let me explain to you. First of all, I think Eagles fans want to look back on it and go, you know, yeah, but we have Carson Wentz, a year ago, an MVP candidate coming soon. But when is soon? Nobody's telling us exactly when Carson Wentz is going to come back from injury. And I've read Adam Schefter say, look, it's not going to be for the opener. He's most likely not going to be ready for week 1. It could be on the outset, week 10. It's a 12 to 18-month injury. He's only in month 9. So you have to have concerns about Carson Wentz and your future. That takes us to the present. Nick Foles was bad last night. I don't want to hear about 13 of 17. He turned the ball over 3 times. 2 picks, a fumble, and then on top of that, a safety. And those picks were ugly. Nick Foles was bottom line bad last night. And that makes you think about the past, Max. Who is the real Nick Foles? I can never take away from the surprise Nick Foles unveiled on us last year. The 2 games in the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl where he played like a superhero. But who has Nick Foles been throughout his career? He's an easy guy to root for. I mean, hell, he's a Texas boy. But 2013 and the playoffs last year, those aren't indicative of who Nick Foles has been throughout his career. So who's the real Nick Foles? The guy he was in 2013? The guy he was in the playoffs? Or the guy that over several other years racked up QBRs in the 20s? Who the real Nick Foles is ought to give Eagles fans concern about how their present and their future looks. There should be concerns all around on this Eagles team.
Nope. And after you switched your position on this, because you were saying, they shouldn't be too concerned, now all of a sudden concerned. Well, I too have switched. Luckily for this show, Will, because we have something to debate about. I was telling people, look, you got to be concerned about, if I'm an Eagles fan, I'm concerned. Long term, they're fine. They have Carson Wentz. They have talent all over the field. They may not have even hit their peak yet in terms of when these guys will peak in their careers. You know, obviously you can't do better than winning a Super Bowl the way they did. But they may even get better kind of objectively or qualitatively, you know, during the regular season at least as time moves on. But for right now, both quarterbacks dinged up. Alshon Jeffrey, same thing. A problem. Now I'm here to tell you, yes, that you should be concerned, but calm down. The pendulum has swung the other way. When you get on TV, Will, and say very concerned, you know, you talk about people being Chicken Little about this stuff. The sky is not falling. Look, yes, you have Carson Wentz. Yes, you don't know exactly the timetable, but he's ahead of schedule according to everyone. And according to their tracking devices and all the technology, he has increased his velocity and accuracy on his passing since, like, the best he's ever been. Understand, like, he is now throwing harder and more accurately than he ever has in his life. That is scary when you think about how good Carson Wentz is, how tough he is, how excellent a quarterback he's been so far. I thought he was the MVP when he got hurt. So when he comes back, you're going to be fine. But what about until then? Yep, they're a little dinged up. I mentioned Alshon Jeffrey as well. Who is Nick Foles, you ask? Well, at Arizona, he was the second best quarterback in the Pac-12. I remember I was out in L.A. doing radio, Max and Marcellus for ESPN, and, you know, Matt Barkley was the guy in L.A., right? And he was the second best quarterback in the conference behind Andrew Luck, except when you watched Nick Foles, you thought, that's the second best quarterback in the conference, behind only Andrew Luck, who the buzz was he's going to be the best ever. Nick Foles was quite good. When he turned pro and played for Chip Kelly, he had an all-time historically great touchdown to interception ratio. I believe it was 27-2. But you could see he wasn't a superstar quarterback. He was a quarterback who could run certain systems very well. Then with Jeff Fisher as his head coach, as is the case with all quarterbacks who have Jeff Fisher as a head coach, he was no good. And so he went from overrated to really way underrated. When they got him back and they ran run, the RPOs for Nick Foles, he was fine. He was good. That's the kind of quarterback he is. If you don't run RPO, he will not be so good. He will be shown to be limited in those ways. And right now, they're not putting him in the best position to succeed. But we've seen Nick Foles, when you design the system around what he can do well, is a perfectly excellent backup and maybe even a starter given the right system. And that's what you got. Your excellent backup, backing up your all-world starting quarterback When this team gets healthy, they are going to be a load. It doesn't mean they're going to win the Super Bowl again. That's very hard to do. But Eagles fans, if you think the sky is falling, calm down.